This week in Rapid Motion Africa, our first program of 2009, we're bringing you some of South Africa's motorsport's annual treat of historic international motor racing at Legends of the 9-Hour Race meeting at Zwartkops International Raceway. This one-hour program of action is brought to you with the support given by Execuline, Castrol and Goodyear. After a week of high-felt storms and floods, Saturday provided a perfect day to go motor racing with the motorsports fans packing into Zwartkops. 22 races made up the program with 60 international competitors in the lineup, including wonderful Ferraris with David Piper and Urban Laidlaw in the two cars that actually won the 9 hours back in the 70s, and Paolo Cavalieri in his V12. There was Bernie Tolanis in the Tigre Rotary, and also Donald and Nick Duncan in the big McLaren, Mark Dutoy in a NASCAR Chef Biscayne, and our own legend and icon Sarel van der Merwe in the Bob Alter Ford Galaxy, and John Burnley's beautifully turned out Jaguar XK140. First up on this program is the Castrol 363 Sports and GT race, going to be held over 8 laps, about 20 k's, with 27 competitors, lots of overseas visitors, led by Californian Ned Speaker and his Lotus ahead of sports car champion Michael Toner. Nice to welcome to South Africa Ned Speaker, all the way from where?
I'm from San Francisco and pleased to be here.
Absolutely. And what do you think of the circuit?
I love the circuit. It's a very tight, technical little circuit.
Now, what do you normally do over in the States with the Lotus 23?
I run Laguna Seca, Sears Point in California, but I run all over the world. I've been Monaco, Goodwood, Monza, all over.
And you couldn't do it in a better car?
Well, I don't do it necessarily always in this car. I have an Alfa Romeo, a P3, a 32.
Really?
And so I switch around quite a bit.
It's pretty unique at Alfa.
It is.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
One of the best.
How long have you been at it though, Ned?
I've only been at it about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
I was able to get my business and my kids out of the way, and then I started doing this.
As we pick up the action, in fact, is speaking that yellow car ahead of Paolo Cavalieri, and with me in the commentary box, Francois Pretorius, and what an entry, Francois.
Absolutely wonderful entry, Roger. This is one of the highlights of the motor racing here as far as I'm concerned. It's a lovely race meeting. Everybody's there, always brilliantly organized. So let's see what happens.
It's Speak in the front, Paolo Cavalieri in the V12 Ferrari, and there's Alan Bailey in that little Lotus 23, and Peter Grove, number 92 in the E-Type Jag, looking fantastic, with Michael Toner right there as well.
And we've got Brian Algar in the little green Healy as well, challenging Nick Parrott while they go up the hill. So you've got quite a who's who of South African motor racing, and even some people that have migrated from other categories to come and take part. Roger, there are a number of well-known South African race drivers actually at this race meeting.
Absolutely, and there's David Piper himself. Nick Parrott, I don't know how many cars Nick Parrott has got. Every time you look at any race, Nick Parrott's either got an MG or he's got a Porsche in there. It's unbelievable.
Somebody's always saying Polly wants a cracker, and then he just brings another car. You know? I don't know where it comes from.
Toner comes through. There's a little Streepy. That's a tribute to the Peterson brothers rather, used to race that Alpha Streepy in the days gone by. It's from San Francisco. It's Ned Speaker. Cavalieri's gone back to third position. Alan Bailey's gone to second. So it's Lotus 23s. I think they made about 130 of those over the years, and what a successful car that has been.
I just love this Jaguar of John Bird, Roger. He brings his car out every year, and it's spick and span. It's brilliant. I really think that's a lovely car. And on screen here, we've actually got Clinton Parsons driving the Alpha as well, and John, just having to stay out of his way, because that's very close.
An interesting thing, that car is made out of two halves of the car, but he actually got the front and the back and put it together and made it into that motor car. The man who has put these races together over the last 8 years is owner at Zwartkops, Peter Dutoy.
The aim always has been is to bring international participant of motorsport to South Africa, where the interest of the South African participant lies, which will stimulate him, and it actually fell into the lap of being Historics, because Historics is hugely popular internationally, both in America and Europe, and it's now right, well, obviously Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, but it's thanks to you also that Historics have become popular here. I mean, the numbers just keep growing. We have 40, 50, 60 cars in the circuit at a time.
Yeah, well, we up here had 300 entries today, which, you know, in the economic times, I was just wondering if people were going to cut back and be a bit more conservative. But I think they saved their money to enter into today's racing. Everybody pays an entry fee here, so, you know, it's actually encouraging, and it's very supportive of the local, of the South African historic racing and the participants. And what is more, actually building cars, restoring cars, and so that our international participants are actually given a real go for their money when they come to South Africa.
We've got about 4 laps of this race to go, and it's Ned Speaker in front there. It is in the yellow car, the Lotus 23. Here comes Alan Bailey closing. 27's Rodney Green just behind him. Also got Gavin Ritchie in the little Lotus 11. It's a real mixture of cars here, Francois.
No, it's a great mixture. You actually just Terry Townsend and his PT Renault just sneaking around the corner there as well.
Which he says is his last race ever.
Did he say so?
Yeah, but we don't believe that.
We
have.
Yeah, so, but I mean, Alan Bailey's also one of the regular competitors. Here's Mr. Piper in the car number 7, and our local historic sports and GT champion is also doing pretty well.
And those little darts handle well. I mean, there's just no limit to them.
They are just so amazing to watch.
I mean, darts won the 9 now, and there's behind David Piper. Here's Brian Alger in the Bailey car, and Streepy with Stuart Gregg. Stuart Gregg going off the circuit, losing a couple of places.
He's clearly thinking of his wife and his new baby instead of concentrating on the road there. But actually, it's a wonderful car. And Stuart Gregg won the comes over. And here goes Paolo Cavalieri coasting back to pits. Unfortunately, he had a electrical wire come loose on the switch and his ignition, and that's actually what switched the car off. So he's got a dead car, and it was actually just a simple failure.
Simple thing, and the V12 came to rest the side of the road. And as we go into the final lap, Jesse Adams comes through in Alpha Spider. And here's Mike Nell now. He's 12th overall, actually, in that 356. He's also brought a fleet of cars to the races. He just loves it, either Ferrari, so David Piper, lookalike, etc., etc. Keith Van Heerden comes through, and there's Mike Nell in that little Porsche. And that really started Porsche their way racing, the 356. Got RSR Porsche and overhead motors.
That's actually a replica of a 58 Spider, Roger.
Yeah.
So if a person could buy one today in the right-hand drive, of which there were only 23 ever made, that car's worth about 2 million rand.
Unbelievable, right? Gavin Ritchie's got John Bird right in his tail, and then we've got the
Peter Grove there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. It's exciting racing, this, Roger.
Absolutely. And you know, people used to say the E-Type was a sexy-looking car, and it was, oh dear.
Oh dear. Okay, now that is not a good place to park your historic, I must be honest.
No, it's not facing the traffic and just hoping they're going to see which way they're coming around. Anyway, he's got a overheated
his hand
engine.
up. Yeah, it's blown the engine. I think that's seized up there, Roger. You can see.
Right, there's the gap between the two of them. It's just on 2 seconds between Bailey and Ned Speaker. It's going to be a nice win for Ned Speaker. He comes down the hill, down to the final corner. The flag's waiting. Henny De Beers waiting with the flag. Here he comes. Neat-looking little cars, and they are so successful.
Those are wonderful little cars.
Right, so the results of this Castrol Pre-63 Sports and GT race. Class A, there he is, Ned Speaker from San Francisco. Class B went to Michael Tone in that red dot. Class C to Stuart Grant, he's with Classical Performance car. He's 8th overall, and Class D went to Rodney Green in the MGA, a nice spread. Right, here's some more excitement. Big saloon car racing at Zwartkops with a spring of some really hot smaller cars which are ideally suited to Zwartkops. And Mark Totoy in the Chev is on pole, Sorrel alongside him. The big Ford Galaxy. Class U is Mike Bishop in the Renault. V went to Scott Rainey in the Cooper, W to Tian Salangi's Cortina, and X went to Chris Myers. They're all there. And why? Watch him go. Denzel Barner from Zimbabwe. That little Anglia, it's a blue one. It's in the leading 6 there. France, boy, does he go.
He goes, and he comes down every year, Roger, and comes and does this race. It's great to see Denzel. He actually comes and does some other historic races during the year as well. And we're off. Mark trying to stay ahead of Sorrel, but Sorrel's got the inside line, so we see what happens. And Alan Poulter had slotted into the 3rd place. And well, look at Denzel, he's right up behind Studebaker. He's right there.
There's only big engines ahead of him, right? On board with Brian Rollings in that big Mustang, the 64 Mustang. As it comes, Mark Totoy's got the lead there from Sorrel and Alan Poulter. Look at the Anglia. It's just about only V8s get ahead of him, actually.
And then, of course, the B20 Volvo of Mr. Poulter up ahead here is a very quick piece of machinery. That's a very nicely built.
Well driven. And a racing family, the Poulters, of course. The Sorrel gets to the front ahead of Mark, who's right on his tail. He's giving away nothing. Brian Rollings, a nicely turned out Mustang. And Davy Ulafia in that Studebaker, the gold Studebaker.
He's missing the 4-wheel drive system, Roger.
Oh, is he?
He's used to driving a Subaru.
It's true. And he's won some championship races of Subaru. He knows Zwartkops very well. We get to the top of the circuit on board with Brian Rollings, and Poulter's giving a good go there. It's Sorrel in the front, and just look how they throw those cars in and paint lines all over the road as they come over. I love those leaf springs at the back of that Galaxy there.
Just hanging out, Roger, let you know. I mean, Alan Poulter and Brian Rowlings have the best seat in the house, of course.
Absolutely. They go into the last corner flat out, and Sorrel's lost it.
Oh dear, ouch. Ooh. Okay, here we go.
And the others don't know which way to go. And they
Sorrel seems to be struggling to find out which way he's going as well.
So Rolling says, thanks very much. He goes up to third position, and Barner's in. Frank Copping's right behind. Here's Sorrel back onto the road. He's lost a lot of places there as he comes back, gets his slots in, and he is going to go somewhere. I must say, he looked fairly relaxed as he spun that motor car. There was no wild gyrating left, right, and he got it under control. And Sorrel's back in business. Now he's got to go some to catch Mark du Toit.
I think that's a little Austin A35 of Johan Prince that he's just muscling past over there. Oh boy, and here we have Chris Myers in his figure-hugging Mini as well.
Yeah, it is. And that other black Alpha, that's the one of Patrick Gearing. He used to have Carabinieri on the side of that car, the blue light on the top.
Yes, I remember that.
Here's Sorrel.
Watch this.
Now have a look. There's no struggle there. He just controls it all as he would do with all that experience. Looks up the road and thinks, oh, here comes the pack.
Okay, let me just roll back and go and park it and then wait for an opportunity to go forward.
Well, he's going to wait for an opportunity. Or he's going to make an opportunity.
I think he's going to make an opportunity knowing Sorrel, Roger.
Right, on goes this race. That's Studebaker. I must say, Davy Olivier is giving a good account of himself. And here's Mark du Toit in the front there. He can look in his mirrors. No big red Galaxy. He's got under control. Lovely sound from that big V8. I think those cars used to run hooch in the States before they started NASCAR racing. Right, Brian Rollings in second spot down the hill, sounding good. It's almost an idle as he comes down the hill.
Well, Roger, as you quite correctly stated, that was the start of NASCAR. They used to run illegal drink, and that's how NASCAR started.
It never happened here.
No, it couldn't happen in South Africa.
Right, here we come. Mark du Toit's in the front, the Chef Biscayne, a NASCAR car. Then it's Brian Rollings, Davy Olivier in the Studebaker.
But look at Denzel Barner.
No, I mean, it's unbelievable.
That little Anglia is quick.
And he drives it so well. In fact, I think he's going to get the drive of the day for that. He's fantastic. Frank Copping has got more cooling under that bonnet in the front to that rear engine of his. But it goes. It must be the hottest Dolphin ever made.
Mate, I think it outperforms anything that's ever been built before, but it does go very well.
Absolutely. There's Peter Gray. He's back in this in the Jag as well. And Saul is appearing about the length of that back straight behind them. But he'll start to making serious inroads into this. Right, here's Sorrel now passing some of the others. He gets past Tiens de Lang and that Cortina. Look at that.
Oh, and then
black Goodyear lines.
And just see the lines he's painting.
Absolutely. Here's Jerry Spahns in the little Fiat. We've got everything in this field there, and Sorrel's starting to make... He's got an eye there for Davy Olivier and that Studebaker. He's past Denzel Barner. He's using all the road. And one thing about Sorrel, he never bumps or bashes. He can always...
He makes the hole and he goes through.
He waits for a moment, just picks his spot, and Sorrel comes through. And there's one of the Viljoen cars. It's Grant and Mark. I never know which one is. I think this one is Grant, because every time we say it's Grant and Mark, we've always got it wrong.
We could get it wrong because we never know who's driving.
That's Tiens de Lang. And there's the Mercedes giving a very good account of itself, I must say, with the Alpha bringing it in tow. Right, Sorrel's definitely got Davy Olivier inside there. That'll give him a third position if he makes this one, if he gets past Davy.
Look at him fighting the steering wheel in that car. You know, that's like driving a block of flats, Roger. You know, if you can imagine taking a 10-story building and driving it, that's what it's like throwing that car around.
All
he
action.
Does it with such a plumb. Just look at it, slides it through. And Davy himself is no mean driver as well.
He can pedal a motor car.
He can pedal a motor car. So
oh, that's my man. It's fantastic stuff. Sorrel just so at ease in the car. Here's the MG Magnet, once again, of Nick Parrott, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. MG.
Yeah, here's the leader, Mark du Toit. He's getting towards the end of this race. 2 kilometers to go, managed to Krabita behind with the boot open, his white Alpha. There's the Reverend Dr. Neil Oosthuizen from the Linden Methodist Church coming through and giving a good account of himself in that yellow Alpha. And I want to tell you, Brian Rollings, no fuss, no bother, got a good solid second.
He's driven a very good race, Roger.
And you never see him get it out of things.
Sorrel's managed to get past Davy. Now he's try and chase Brian, but I don't think he's got the time to do it.
Enough time. He's got about 2Ks to do to end the race. But what a drive. The crowd just love it. They've been cheering him all around the circuit. There's Manny Cabrera. Here comes. Oh, look at this action.
Just watch his car squirm now as he hits the brakes, and you can just see it, and then he goes. It's amazing the way he handles that motor car.
And as we said there, Sorrel just waits to pick his spot, and then he just dives in there, commits himself, and he's through like that. He's always been such a clean driver. Okay, well, here's the leader, and what a performance by Mark du Toit in that big Chevy Biscayne. It's lovely to see it out there as he gets in amongst the traffic.
Okay, he's the yellow flag, Roger. There's been a bit of an accident there. It's Colin Ritchie and Wayne Pitt that have had a bit of a coming together in the spin, and that's why Mark couldn't overtake the Mini of Mark Rayner at that point, so he had to wait till he got the line and then went past. That's why it looked like it slowed down a little bit.
And Brian Rollings was within 1.1 of a second. Right, so Mark du Toit takes it overall. Have a look, Sorrel van der Merwe recovered to take third spot, and Denzel Barner, a little Anglia, came home in fifth position. Judging by the reaction, you can see what the people come to see. These big saloons. And Mark, a great win. And you just went away from everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I thought at the start I need to keep Sorrel behind me. I didn't quite do that. At the end of the first lap, he was ahead. He made a bit of a mistake onto the pit straight, and I was just so relieved because I saw the back of that Galaxy and I thought, there's no way I'm getting past this thing now.
And then it all came down. And what happened there, Sorrel? You actually made the race. I heard the people around the circuit cheering.
It's probably a rare lapse of brilliance, Roger. I screwed up. I went in too fast.
But that's what people come to see you doing.
Standard steering rack, so I overcorrected a bit. The span actually spun the wrong way.
More international racing coming up. 3 nimble chevrons, as you can see in the top 3 for this Goodyear Pre-73 International Sports Prototype race. 12-lapper with John du Toit. That's Mark du Toit's boot on pole position. Here they come. On the right-hand side, the Ferrari 312 there of Erwin Laidlaw. What a beauty. And we've got Gavin O'Bell in that yellow car. There's number 22's Oliver Delay. And this is, you can't believe at Zwartkops you've got all these cars. I mean, it's just too beautiful.
And interesting, you've got 2 of Colin Frost's cars there, the one being driven by Stephen Dick being the Lola, and then Colin driving the Lucky Strike 917.
As they get away from the line, this is a 12-lapper, so it's quite a long race. Just listen to the sounds. It's V8s and 12-cylinder Ferraris. In the front there, we've got Jonathan du Toit. Nice start by him. There's Steve Dick in the Lola. There's Colin Frost in car number 3. And then we've got, good heavens, John Grieve is back in that magenta Porsche. That car has had such a history, Francois.
But it's becoming a bit of a South African icon, Roger. Everywhere where the car goes, people want to come and look at it. John's racing it in all the historic races.
Absolutely. I mean, he's had fires and he's had pranes into all, and here he is back again with it fixed.
Well, after the last fire, the car is now called O'Brieivleis. But in any case,
I see the sticker you've put on it, actually. Right, Jonathan du Toit, flying in that car. No sliding, just getting onto the job. He knows he's got to get on with the job. They're lapping here, or they will be lapping. They did in practice about 1 minute and 5. Listen to that Ferrari. He's behind O'Bell. Here he comes in. It's Oliver Delay. They come down. It's Jonathan du Toit in the front. Then it's Grant O'Bell in the B16 Chevron. It's a B8 in the front. And then we've got that 312 Ferrari. And the sound of that, it was just absolutely too magnificent. Not too far behind. He's actually getting the hang of the circuit. Here's Erwin Laidlaw. But look at the Chevrons. 1 and 2, nose to toe, looking fantastic.
And nobody's giving any call to or asking.
No, for sure they're not. Right, so Gavin O'Bell goes to the front. Now, what's Jonathan going to do about that? There's very little between the performance of these cars, actually.
Very much, I think Jonathan's car may have the legs and Grant may have the handling. But
there it is.
But between them, I mean, they're 2 very accomplished drivers, Roger. So nobody's going to try and hurt a car, but you can see they're both giving it stick.
You get a 4-wheel drift going around that sweep, you're offline. Look at this. Look at that for the shape of the car. See the one window there?
Yeah.
I think they cracked that window before, the driver's window. They haven't got that in play.
Yeah.
But is that a beautiful car? Well, I think one of the finest looking sports cars ever made is that B16 Chevron.
It's a lovely looking car, Roger. I mean, that car's been in the country for a while, and it's just great to see them out on the circuit and being driven. Colin Frost, I see, has now moved up into 3rd place in his Porsche 917.
Right, here we come. Here's a pack of drivers. There's the Carl Pinar Camaro. We've got the Automo. That's Veron Papas. Nice looking car, South African made car. And here's original colours, original car, the Basil Green Piranha, Peter Lindenberg at the wheel of the car, giving a good account of himself. I mean, these cars are now, we're talking about cars that are 35 years old. It's unbelievable.
We've even got Henny Groenewold out there in a Chevron B8 replica, Roger, that they're busy developing. It's a bit of a who's who of South African motorsport. Grant Waberski out in a Lola.
First time.
It's first time out in that car. It's great to see the track. I mean, Grant's put a lot of time and effort into getting that car ready.
Still in 3rd position there is Erwin Laidlaw, giving that Ferrari a workout. I never thought we'd ever see a 312 Ferrari at Zwartkops. Here's 7. That's in fact Mike Nell in the replica. It's a David Piper replica of the P4 Ferrari. And 12 is the battle going on, and Jonathan du Toit's back in the front. As you used to say, it's got the legs, but the handling seems to be the B16.
And the B16 sticks it up the inside, and Jonathan knows he's where he needs to be.
It's a drag race that come out there. There's John Grieve, and just in front of him is Chris Costas in his Porsche Barracuda.
And here we got Carl Pinar in the Camaro as well. I mean, that car Carl found was a burnt-out Hulk in a scrapyard, and they literally built a chassis inside it, and then found all the bits and pieces.
And he's driving it well too.
The Carl's driving that car very well.
The Duncan McLaren, isn't it a beauty? I just love that car, that big V8 engine in the back of that.
Look at it, it squirms and goes. Oh, it's so
fantastic.
beautiful.
Right, here they come towards us, Carl Pino. He's only raced a couple of races, actually. In fact, Carl, he builds all these West Bank cars, and there's Henny Groenewold driving for him. The Duncan McLaren, that's Donald and Nick Duncan. They brought this car to South Africa and are loving it out here. Right, it's O'Bell once again in front. Has Jonathan got an answer to him?
Well, let's see what happens as they go around here, Roger, because the two of them, I don't want to say Tweedledee and Tweedledum, but they are really not letting go of one another.
If he's going to do it, he's got to do it now, because this is the last lap. There's Peter Lindenberg and that big piranha boy that brought the crowds in. Basil van Rooyen and the others drove it, like Kersey Swanepoel. We saw them driving the 3 hour as well. So Jonathan is holding station in second position. I don't think he's going to catch your bell now in that B16. Of course, we've had B19s as well. And just shows how quick these motor cars are as they come past these cameramen. Right, it's Bell coming down to the line. 55 is Chris Wilson. That's one of the original McLaren. In fact, if you took off that roll cage, it's like the all-time classic shape of a sports car. It's a beautiful looking car.
But it's great to see these old sports cars here, Roger. They're not older, but they really, it's the classic shape that we used to. And Henny the Flag busy and...
Yeah, there he gets it in there, and it's Grant Bell wins this one ahead of Jonathan de Toyne. It was just 2 seconds at the end. Waving to everybody, a lovely looking motor car. Irvin Laidlaw in the Ferrari getting the hang of the Zwartkops circuit in third spot ahead of Stephen Dick. Very good drive there in the Lola. Well, you two guys put in a fantastic race in those Chevroles. I mean, that B16 is a hard car to beat.
Yeah, Roger, I think special, but yeah, interesting race. I think Jono drove well. It's awesome to drive with a guy of his caliber. You can get inches apart and trust each other. I think Jono had the legs. We had a bit on the handling, and it made for good fun.
So that B8, yours a B8, Jonathan. I think you two guys are falling in love. You Chevron guys are falling in love with each other. But that B8 is an effective motor car.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we've rebuilt the motor since last year, found a couple of extra horsepower that it was missing. There was a bit of a crack in the head.
But got a lot of legs, but you might have a lot more horsepower.
And it's definitely stronger than the B16 now.
Let Supersport drive your senses wild this weekend. Can Supersport United beat Ajax and extend their lead at the top of the ABSA Premiership? The final four superstars fight for their share of the $1.2 million that is up for grabs in Memphis, Tennessee. Can the Lions rise to the challenge when they take on a Sharks team brimming with talent in the Vodacom Super 14? Which golfer will take top honors on the final day of the star-studded Johnny Walker Classic? Chiefs have their sights fixed firmly on the #1 spot when they face Amazulu in the ABSA Premiership. And Liverpool aim to keep their FA Premier League title ambitions alive with 3 points against Man City. Electrifying action only on your World of Champions.
Get ready. Are you ready to step up? We're gonna cause a racket. Here comes baseline. The baseline, where the surf begins. Not just the game, but who's got the nerve to win. The curve and who's got the swing to serve an ace. With enough top spin to turn up the bases. Holding serve, no let, no enforced errors. Just attacking the net, game set, who's better? Stay focused, no time to commit faults. Be careful of the smash hit and the cross court. Quiet please. 49. Game set, match. Break point, you frequently at the net with a volley. The frequency is electric, expressing so much emotion in the face. It's a lesson that you've got more than what it takes, and you probably win. The match is sent to court, get the advantage only on Supersport.
Hi, I'm Darren. I play Ryan in High School Musical. I'm donating all my old sporting equipment to children that don't have any. Why don't you? Let's play.
Get to your nearest Mr. Price now.
You name it, we've got it. Live and exclusive to your World of Champions.
for the big one, the Castrol South African Tourist Trophy, or the TT. 26 starters, 7 cars didn't make it to the line. We've got 45 minutes of racing ahead of us. They do have a driver change if they want it. And there's also a compulsory 3-minute stop in this race. It's a long way to go for some of these older cars. Waiting for the lights there above them to change, and we're in business. It's Alan Minshaw. He's from the UK, head of Peter Lindenberg. Then it's Peter Bailey. Peter Bailey makes those cars, the Bailey Edwards cars, and on his tail he's got Ross Lazarus in one of the high-tech, the Jimmy Price cars. Isn't it fantastic? I mean, GT40's coming out of our ears.
Yeah, it's like GT40 City over here, but really it's great to see all the cars, Roger, even if they are reproductions. It's great to have them in South African motorsport, and we need to say that spectators seem to be really enjoying themselves.
Absolutely.
Out in the
and
green
that's South
grass of
African motor
Zwartkops.
racing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just nice, informal way to go watch motor race. Minshaw in the B8, another Chevron. Can't hold them back. There's the McLaren. There's Ned Speaker coming. And that number 8 is Irvin Laidlaw's Porsche 904. It's a 6-cylinder Porsche. Came 4th at Le Mans 1965. Oh, he's going into trouble here. It's Alan Minshaw. Didn't make it. Well, that's his lead gone there. The others are going to take that with both hands. Here they come. Peter Lindenberg goes to the front as he comes back in the circuit. 2, 3 have gone. Ross Lazarus comes past. There's the McLaren, the Duncan car. And there's Ned Speaker. And there's the Porsche. Laidlaw, so he's gone way back in the field. He's got a major job, Francois.
He's got a major job, Roger, but you know, it's a 45-minute race. He kept it together, didn't crash the car, got it back on the circuit, and at the end of the day, that's the important thing.
Yeah, and you just
so he's
got
in
to
the
settle
race,
down,
and he's in there, and he can go.
And of course, Demon Tweaks. If you get Autosport, you'll see Demon Tweaks catalogs. That is Demon Tweaks' Alan Minshaw and his son Jason, and all the others. And that's another competent little B8 Chevron.
That car is quick, Roger. It's been out in South Africa before. It's done very, very well.
There's the Porsche of Laidlaw's. There's Minshaw again. He's starting to get on Laidlaw's tail. Quick, those cars. Not they're lightweight as well, and of course just the right amount of torque. Right, Colin Frost comes through. 7 is David Piper, of course, in that well-known Ferrari. Won the 9-hour Kyle Army. There's John Bird on the inside. We've got Dion Hutton, and then we've got Alan Eustace sharing the car with the editor of Citizen Motoring, and that's Andre de Kock. And then just behind him, Bob Thompson, the little MG. Piper, and here comes a very hot Austin Healey, that one of Mike Knight's.
That car is quick, Roger. I mean, it's been here as well every year for a couple of years, and it actually goes, and it's really is a great motor car.
Now he's sharing it with Rousselet. The two of them are sharing this car. Here's Piper now. And here, look how he gets away from that pack, away from Eustace, away from Keith Van Heerden. And there is Howard Nell in the Marcus. And those Marcuses give a good account of himself. Brian Cook in the Mustang. He only races once or twice a year, but O'Brien can still pedal.
He can pedal a car, and that's a very well-prepared little Mustang. I mean, Pete Frost building the engine. Well, here we've got Peter Lindenberg once again in the lead of the race, followed by Peter Bailey in the Bailey Edwards replica.
And some are built in Johannesburg. The Lindenberg car, of course, in PE with Jimmy Price. That's the Joey one in sight now. Here's Roger Pierce in the pits. Early pit stop, lap 2, bit of strategy there, looking for index of performance. It's done his 3-minute stop. Now he'll be going all the way to the finish.
Taxing out to see what he can do for the rest of the race. The only problem is if you do stop that early, Roger, and you have a yellow flag, your overall position gets compromised. But if you're going for the index, it doesn't matter.
You've got to take a chance. There's that McLaren. It's Chris Wilson and Alex Boswell. It's a McLaren 1B1, the original. And 31's an interesting one. Barry Shepherd from the UK. It's a Nomad GT. As nice looking as you get. Alan Bailey is 5th at the moment in this race. That car is so common. Colin Froster in the GT. And here's number 28. These are the two bankers, Marius Waite and Peter Wharton Hood.
Yeah, or Peter Wharton up to no good, as he's sometimes called. Peter Wharton Hood driving the car at the moment, Roger. Just listen to this V8 throbbing as he goes around the track. It's such a wonderful sound. These Daytona Coupes, to me, are some of the most beautiful cars ever.
And they're
built.
strong.
And they're strong,
Yeah,
and
they're
they
built
go
like
well.
tanks. They go so well and nice and well identified. I must say, for an example of identifying a car, there it is, you can't mistake 28. They are the bankers, right? John Bird says to Peter Lindenberg, pass me on the left-hand side, which he probably does. And not too far behind, by the way, we've got Peter Bailey and Ross Lazarus, another Lazarus motor-entered car, and going very well.
They seem to just be keeping station, Roger. I mean, it's a 45-minute race. Let's see how this pans out. John Bird just gone through, somebody locking up quite heavily at the back, and we've got Minshaw back in the race just behind them. I mean, he's caught right up, and he has the opportunity to get back in the lead of the race.
Absolutely, and really that car does go so well, and it's well driven there by the Minshaw fan. Oh dear. Okay, from San Francisco, Ned Speaker's gone. It's blown that motor on. I should imagine a bit of fluid comes on the circuit there. Here we come with the bankers, Peter Wharton Hood, taking it very easy through there. The flag's out for him.
Oh dear. I wonder if there's not something on the circuit there. Oh, well, at least those consulting engineers nearly got a mention. But
he hit the wall there.
No, he kept
And now
it
it
away
cuts
from
out.
the... Yeah, no, sort of... doesn't.
the dart gets by there. So I'll get it going in a moment or two. Peter Bailey second, third is Ross Lazarus Hesman. Sean fourth position just behind him. They've been out for a
Lazarus
couple.
also just getting a bit of a wobble over there.
Getting
There
very
we can
good.
see Peter's got it going, and now he's on his way.
They are both Standard Bank boys, these two, and enjoying. I think we must see them in bigger motor cars, also Porsche racing with the Murray as well. As Peter Bailey comes through once again on his way to the hairpin. 55, the Chris Wilson car, and really, as what we said